Welcome to episode 1 of Eros on Trial. This is really becoming a true crime series. We're going totally out of order for this one. We're leaving the timeline and we're just going to what's hot right now. And what's hot right now, what our breaking news is this week, is that the star witness of this case that this whole series is covering, Aries Blank, compromised her ability to be used in the case by committing a federal crime. These journals that were part of the, evidence in this case, these journals were fake, fabricated, not real, a total lie, really for the purposes of a documentary and to make some cash. And this is something that the defense team for this case has known for about a year, and they've really been hammering the prosecution with mountains of proof that these were fabricated journals and saying, check your girl, like, come get your girl, come get your journals. These are not real. This case is crap. And they've just been like,
but,
and then finally couldn't deny it any longer and admitted that, oh yeah, they were fabricated. She's admitted they're fabricated. So they are no longer using the journals in the case. And so this is just an absolutely huge deal. The Daily Mail article headline says something like, Wente's case teetering on the brink of collapse, or something like that. Her whole case was really built on this woman's word. And her word was false. Through the rise of Me Too, we've seen a lot of different cases having to do with a woman's word about some experience she had in which she was victimized. These cases have come to, infamy, and they are not always accurate. And it's really important that the media and the government actually do due diligence on cases like this and not just blindly believe somebody who reports that they are in pain from something or victimized from something when they may very well have deep ulterior motives to the story that they're creating. One motive in all of this for sure was money. You have to wonder, like Aries' sister Autumn was a star in the Netflix documentary. She had like her typed up journals and was paid, $25,000 for those journals. When you start building a castle of lies and then you get years in, you kind of just have to keep going until something just crashes it down. I want to get into the details a little bit because some really fascinating details about how the defense discovered that the journals were fake. There's 3 in particular that really are like, wow. So the story was she wrote these journals in 2015. And it's also worth noting that she never mentioned journals. Like, she's been kind of positioning herself against Wente's in media pieces since 2018. I never mentioned journals in any of these pieces until Netflix was making a documentary and paying people $25,000. And then all of a sudden, there's journals, they exist. I wrote them in 2015, swear. And there's some really interesting things that the defense, found that indicates, oh, okay, these were fake. The first one, classic kind of one that you'd read in like a little detective story or something like that. She mentions a book that wasn't published till 2019. The defense team was like, okay, we better look deeper. So the story goes that Autumn, Aries' sister, dutifully transcribed her handwritten journals into a Google Doc, like typed them up for Netflix's use in their documentary. But here's the thing. There were hundreds of edits made to the Google Docs. So Autumn, types up Aries' handwritten journals for her into a Google Doc in early 2022. And then somehow, over the next 10 months, while Netflix is preparing their documentary, their big finale at the end of the movie and everything is all writing on these journals. So it went from 1,800 words to 10,000 words in the exact way that you would add if you were a Netflix producer with no principles who wanted to, really make your movie super evocative and dramatic and like really hook your emotions into it. The last one I'll share is that when the defense team finally got a hold of the handwritten journals, this is so wild. They matched the final version, the 10,000 word version, exactly. So, I'm no Sherlock, but fabricated, utterly fabricated. A couple of other really fun facts. And when I say fun, I mean dark and disturbing. Sarah Gibson, the filmmaker for the documentary on Netflix, was definitely involved in, helping to craft these journals on some level. She was a collaborator in the Google Docs. And then possibly most disturbing of all, this person named Elliot McGinnis, who's an FBI agent, was also a collaborator on the document. I don't know about you guys, but when I write my journals, I also like to type them up first and then handwrite them, do edits. I like to have an FBI agent and a Netflix producer collaborate on my journals as well. So I think that's a really common, normal experience. Agent McGinnis was also in the Netflix documentary, which I don't know if it's illegal for that to be a thing, that FBI agents can just make appearances I don't know. It seems at best ethically dubious. So I don't know, maybe he likes to be a star too. So yeah, this is something that we're seeing more and more in the media, in the culture, in the government. This is why this case is such a incredible example of Department of Justice and FBI overreach, because you're beginning to see this feedback loop. The media wants clicks. They're willing to overlook some things. And then the government, takes what the media is saying at face value and potentially is using that to justify indicting people. The government indicted Nicole and Rachel very shortly after the Netflix documentary came out. It's kind of this thick as thieves relationship between the media and the government and even the FBI. There's different levels of abstraction to it. And one of them is that this is a war on women's sexuality. This is a war on women's sovereignty. There's another level to it that's a real call to action to address Department of Justice and FBI overreach. I think we'll look back on this case in history and see it really as having been a great catalyst for immense positive change in the world. All right, so that concludes episode 1 of Eros on Trial True Crime series. Stay tuned in for the whole series. We may go in chronological order. We may jump around like this depending on more fantastic breaking news as it comes in. So stay tuned.